thanks again, everyone, for staying. My name is Jenai Cutcher. I'm going to be asking just a couple questions, and I'm going to limit them to a couple topics: women in tap and their choreography. It's the theme of the night, obviously, and also history, because that's my job. I'm very proud to be a tap dancer, but I'm also proud and very honored to direct the Chicago Dance History Project, which is a not-for-profit research organization here in town. We're working, I feel like I'm excluding you, sorry. We're working really hard to investigate, document, and preserve histories of dance here in Chicago. And we're doing that in a variety of ways. We're building an online library of videos of oral history interviews, digitized photos, programs, essays, and recorded events like this one. So we're really happy to be partnering with Audible Odyssey and all of you, thank you very much, to record a little bit more history tonight. So like I said, I'm going to ask a few limited questions, but have yours ready in a few minutes. So I'm just going to pose them to the group, but don't feel like y'all have to answer every question, but if you have something to say, by all means, we can share. Is there another mic? Yes. Okay, we'll share them. I'm curious to know if you can recall who you first identified with as a tap dancer. Was there someone that you saw and said, wow, I want to be like her, I can do that, I want to be that?
Ooh, I'll go with that one. Oh, here we go. Hey. Mine was actually, I used to watch a lot of old musicals, and so mine was Ruby Keeler in 42nd Street. And there was something about, like, she had on flat shoes, she didn't have the heels on, like, there was something about that I thought was super cool. And so for me, she was the one.
No. I think more so growing up, I saw a lot of different people, not only female but male as well, who I identified with as like, wow, you're amazing.
And how old are you then?
24.
We're all 24.
Yeah. Oldest one in the group right here.
I was lucky enough when I was a young studier that Jenny Lagan came to our studio. And I remember that was so cool because one of the things she's known for is the first one to wear pants when she tap dance. And I find it so ironic nowadays because I find myself always wanting to wear a skirt when I tap dance and bring it back to much more femininity. So I think it's interesting that she was one of my first idols and I'm actually doing the exact opposite thing that she became known for.
I actually have two role models. One more so when I was younger, a woman by the name, she's from Chicago, by the name of Idella Reed Davis. She was the co-founder of a group called Rhythm Is, which is not in existence anymore. But I saw them perform at the Black Women's Expo when I was about 6 or 7, I'm not sure. And it was just, I had always seen my brother dance and my cousins dance, always men, and I had seen Lady Di. But it was something about seeing someone that looked more like me dance because she's dark-skinned complexion. And she was holding it down, and I was excited about that. I was like, this is what I want to do. When I grow up and get old enough, I'm going to be in Rhythm Is. And then later down the line, when I met Dormisha Sumbry Edwards, that was just a whole nother story because she was hitting it. She's one of the ones, she grew up with the fellas, and so she was hitting like the fellas and hanging in there and sometimes doing more than a fella. So she's always been a big inspiration to me since I first met her when I was 13.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Okay. Who or what has shaped you as a choreographer specifically?
So I think this actually kind of answers the last question and this question a little bit. So when I first saw Chicago Tap Theater perform when I was not a member, there was something that really spoke to me. I felt when I kind of realized that I maybe had the most possibility as a tap dancer professionally. I kind of going to be a ballerina, and then became clear that wasn't going to be a thing for me. I was afraid that I was going to have to give up some of the other parts of my kind of movement style, my background, and who I was. Seeing Yanali's style of kind of integrating both tap with many other styles, do that too. So, super weird. So I think that's kind of been my big inspiration for me, and then probably everyone on this stage has been an inspiration for me at various points in time. It's one of the benefits of AO is that we get to see people make new work and push each other, which is really exciting. And people like Michelle Dorrance these days, you know, again, kind of really integrating and pushing the boundaries and still having such incredible chops, but then putting them in all different shapes is really exciting.
Well, being that I was a toddler in the Condo School of Dance, my dad was a teacher there, and so I grew up with, you know, with men as my role models as far as tap dancing went. And what I enjoy the most is actually the old school type of dance, and so that's what I do. So when Phil said, use your own voice, because I'm racking my brains trying to think of something totally, you know, not me. And he said, use your own voice. So I thought, well, I'm going to use my own voice. And I'm just going to do what I like. I love Oscar Peterson. I love nice rhythmic jazz. I'm a bit old school.
I'm going to keep that. So, sorry. I think there were a couple, like in terms of choreography, I always love watching the Nicholas Brothers, just going back to the old musical stuff. But I think really I didn't, when I moved up here, because I'm from Oklahoma, so when I moved to Chicago, I started taking class from Julie Cartier, and I remember being in class, and we were doing something, and she came and she pushed me, and she said, move. And I was like, yes, I will. Like, I like moving. Like, this is so cool. So I think for me, and then having worked with Lane Alexander, who also likes some modern-based dance and things like that, for me, that kind of was a tipping point with both of them.
I have a lot of thoughts going through my mind about this question. I'm also a multi-trained dancer, and there was a time when I got out of college and I was dancing with a contemporary company and a tap dance company, and I injured my foot, and I could no longer dance barefoot. Like, it was excruciating, and so tap dance was always my thing, but I never grasped onto it as my thing until that happened to me, ironically. And using the training that I have, all of that training was so exciting. Again, what Jenna shared with Chicago Tap Theater was something that I could bring that part to it. And then when I really started choreographing more, I was super interested in putting tap dance in either with things I'd never seen it with before, or in an emotional quality I'd never seen before. So like one of the first times I felt like I really had a voice, I wanted to do a tap dance about being sad, which is so goofy. But I was like, you never see a sad tap dance. Tap dance is happy. Let's do a tap dance about being sad. So that became really interesting to me to try to kind of, I don't know, I guess challenge the idea of what in my head I thought tap dance was and what I thought everybody else thought tap dance was. I don't know if that makes sense. Words. Do you want to speak to that?
That's something I've never thought about before until she just asked that. But most of the time I try to pick a song that makes me feel it deep down in my soul, like especially Ultralight Beam, that is now one of my favorite pieces that I've ever choreographed. But just sometimes, you know, you hear music and it's just like, this is it. So I just let the songs take me where they take me.
I don't know. I think, yeah, that's right.
We got two. Okay. So one of the things we're trying to do with the Chicago Dance History Project is find some answers to the question, how has dance Chicago, it has vice versa, Chicago shape dance. And something that's really striking to me about this city is that it has supported not only ensemble choreography, but straight up ensembles and companies for such a long time. And when you look at other cities across the country, I think that's pretty rare and pretty special. And I guess I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on what we've got going on here that makes that possible.
I think that there's something about Chicago where there's a sense of collaboration that exists here that I see across a lot of different places, not just in dance, but in theater, in music. People operate from a place of abundance more than they do from competition. There's healthy competition that happens, and that's really great. But I think that there's a real sense that we should support one another's work and that there's enough audience. We have a great audience, too. Up to a lot of stuff, so that helps with that as well. And I think there's something, you put on a show here without it being a bajillion dollars. So I think there's something about that too, that you can kind of take risks that are not going to be financially, ending. So that combination, I think, really fosters a great scene.
I feel like Chicago is very family oriented. Like she was saying, not as competitive. Like New York, people feel like you have to be cutthroat and like there's only one position for a tap dancer and you are going to knock everybody down to get to that point. But Chicago is about let's make it as a family.
I think you guys said it.
I was going to say that after I sold my dancing school, then I went to some classes with Julie Cartier and Bruce Stegman because I always tap danced, and JFEG, and I went, after a few years, I went to the Shed. And what was so nice is everybody's so welcoming in the tap community. So it makes you feel comfortable joining in. So that's what I think is what's so great about Chicago. It doesn't seem to be the pickiness between dancers. Everybody is happy that you're joining, no matter how you dance, who you are, that's the way I feel. You want both? You want to sing it? Okay, anybody double fisted? Mm-hmm.
Questions? Yeah.
What has been your guys' hardest point in your journey?
What has been the hardest point in your journey?
This question. When Phil and I both stepped away from many seasons with Chicago Tap Theater and sort of faced this unknown of like knowing that chapter had closed, but not knowing what the next chapter was going to be, it was tough because we were like, does this mean we're retired? Like, are we not going to be on a stage anymore? That's not okay, And so we decided that if only something existed where we could show up and make work when we had a great idea, we would sign up for that. And since that didn't exist, we decided to make it. But I think that transition, part of AO's success has been that we noticed a lot of people had that transition, that after they had kind of gone through a lot of mentorship, been with a company for a really long time, we noticed people were moving away, they were retiring, and it felt like that must be a crucial point, like a growth point that we were losing half of our community to, and we wanted to see what would happen if we actually equipped people to get over that hump, and I think that's what we saw on this stage. So for me, that was a personal thing, and I think that I've had a lot of conversations with other people about.
Two things. One has always been not having enough confidence in my dancing, and the second one has been what was comparing myself to other dancers. I would always be like, these people are in my age range or younger than me, and they're working so much more than me. This was maybe like 5 years ago where I went through kind of like a low phase of that. But then I had so many people talking to me, telling me I was great and telling me don't compare yourself because God has a journey for you that's just for you. You cannot look at other people's journey because that's their journey. And eventually I just had to realize that. And then things started coming.
I think for myself, since I consider myself at the very beginning of this journey, even though I've been dancing for a long time, each time I step on the floor, I think is the hardest point in my career. Every time I step on the floor. Because every time I want to make sure what I'm trying to say is what I want to say, when I want to say it, and what's happening is truthful and honest.
Any other questions? Maybe one or two more? Yeah.
There's a question just for my mom. Now, I'm a novice to dance, but I really enjoy watching it. So, Ma, could you contrast and just give me your opinion? Let's say two dancers, someone like Savion Glover and somebody like Fred Astaire. Two very different kinds of dance, two very different times in America. What are your opinions on, I guess, the benefit of each kind of dance and the negatives of each kind of dance?
Well, of course, Fred Astaire has a style all his own, nice ballet training. You know, he's the most wonderful, well-rounded dancer that I can think of. And Savion is a wonderful artist with his sense of rhythm and what he hears and feels. So it's really hard to compare them because they're both wonderful in their, and they both have a place. So that's why the tap community is so terrific, because you can do all kinds of tap dance. And the thing about you know, like Savion's a real hard hitter, and he's a young man. But the thing about tap dance is you can really tap dance forever. I come from the school where I'm light on my feet. What? Like,
I thought you were going to say how old you were. I was going to say 24.
No. We don't say it anymore. I'm happy I'm here. But for me, if I'm light on my feet, I don't do a lot of tricks anymore because I'm older. But I can still dance and enjoy the rhythm.
One more? Yeah.
From the point of view of all the choreographers on stage, what do you feel, on a positive or negative note, about the importance of like the social media aspect that is bringing popularity to tap dance right now in the form of like the YouTube crazes and different things like that? I know that there are positive and negatives. I just want to know if you can reflect on that a little bit.
So, although I am 24, this whole craze with the medias and the socials and the stuff, I'm uncomfortable with it. I think what's the most important aspect about the social media craze and all this kind of thing for any dancer and for anyone really is, why are you putting this out there? What is the reason for that? Are you doing that to hear that feedback? Or are you doing that because you want to share? And I think that's something that's important to think about, and you can see everything in that spectrum, which can be positive and can be negative, and that's for other people to decide, as in who's out there watching. So.
Social media is too accessible. way too accessible. It's giving so many people platforms that have put in no training, no work, no time, no effort, and people are just blowing up, and then their heads are blowing up, and then they think they're all that, and they're not. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
No other takers, huh? Okay. Well, I was just reflecting a little bit on, kind of the whole journey of tap dance and the history of it, and realized, it wasn't really that long ago that seeing 6 women choreographers on the stage would have been unheard of, let alone how many women did we have up here tonight overall? And now, all but 4? Yeah. And that's how it is at this point, and I think even that is really special too. So I just wanted to call attention to that and say thank you for providing this platform and for staying and listening and talking about Chicago tap history with all of us. Tell your friends, come on back tomorrow.